Success doesn't start with the how. It starts with the who. Who you are shapes how you show up, what actions you take, the results you create. So let's flip the script today and get this year started right.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this.
Welcome back, friends, to the first episode of 2025. So I'm actually still on vacation with my family. We take a break after the holidays and head out into the country. This will be our 13th year doing this. And it's like a boy's paradise out here. Hunting, fishing, bonfires, riding the property through the mud, in the truck, you name it. It's literally a boy's paradise out here. But it's also a boy mom paradise. So I enjoy coming out here and taking a break from just all the things. I bring books to read and take naps, and it's just kind of a time for me to personally reset as well. So it's a reset for our family and a reset for me personally. So I am sitting in the cabin right now and recording this episode. So if the audio sounds a little off, it's not as good as usual. I'm not sitting in my desk with my souped up microphone and all the things. I am in the cabin room with my earbuds. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. But today we're going to be talking about something that could completely change how you approach your goals this year. And it is something that I focused on this year, really not intentionally, but it was something that my coach just kept bringing up in every session. And it's the who before the how. So I don't know if you've ever have felt paralyzed by trying to figure out every step to achieve your dreams. Like if you're that mompreneur, I totally relate. Like I 100% go to the hows. Well, how am I going to figure that out? How am I going to do that? I'm a thinker. And so I think through things almost too much. And I worked on that a lot this year. But maybe you're also feeling just overwhelmed by just the number of the how-tos out there, right? How am I going to do this? How am I going to achieve this goal? How to be a better mom? All of the hows that go through your mind. And here is the truth, and something that I unintentionally, but now intentionally will be focusing on even more in 2025 is success doesn't start with the how. It starts with the who. Who you are shapes how you show up, what actions you take, the results you create. So let's flip the script today and get this year started right. So even just this podcast episode, like I am a person who produces an episode now too every single week. And so it could have been very easy for me while I'm on vacation and, you know, how all the hows and how I'm going to get this podcast recorded. And it's because it's who I am now, right? I'm a podcaster, and I know you look forward to getting episodes twice a week. And so it was like, this is who I am. So it wasn't an option to skip. It wasn't an option to just not have one drop this week for you. And I'll be sharing some more stories to kind of bring this home to you if this is your first time hearing about the difference in the who before the how, but that's just one right off the bat. So I have been where you are, maybe overwhelmed with the big dreams, but not knowing like where to start. And this is the time of year where we're creating those new goals and we're reflecting on the last year. And I shared in my previous episode this week just some of my personal and professional wins this year. And I highly recommend, if you didn't listen to that podcast episode, to go and listen to that and do some of that celebration work for yourself as well. But for years, I have focused on strategies and step-by-step plans only to realize they didn't work because I wasn't stepping into the version of myself who could actually execute them, right? Looks good on paper, got my pretty planner and everything is organized and I've got my step-by-step plan. But when I started asking myself, like, who do I need to become? And the first time I heard this was actually at a virtual event that I attended. Kelly Roach, I'm actually having her on the podcast later this month, but she talked about like, who is the person you need to become to achieve the dreams that you like? What is going to be required of you? Who do you need to become to achieve your goals? And that was the first time I heard it. And sometimes we just got to hear things over and over again before it sticks. And kind of leaned into that even more because my brain naturally wants to go to the house. And my coach just kept bringing me back to this. So when you start asking the question, who do I need to become? Things started to shift for me. My goals didn't just become achievable. They kind of became inevitable. So why does the who matter? Well, traditional goal setting focuses on external achievements, right? Like losing 20 pounds, making six figures in your business, or maybe writing a book. But these do nothing with the internal transformation. If you want sustainable, you need to focus on becoming the type of person who achieves them. That's what identity-based goals are the key. So example, let's say that you want to run a marathon, like that's the goal that you have for this year. The old way says start running 3 times a week, right? But the identity-based approach says become consistency, discipline, and health. Focus on being that person. Running 3 times a week becomes natural because it aligns with who you are. So I shared in my previous episode about me living an alcohol-free lifestyle for over a year now. And that was probably the biggest shift for me, was just deciding and becoming the person who doesn't drink. It's not a habit that I don't do anymore. It's I'm who does not drink alcohol anymore. And so naturally, if I'm a person who doesn't drink alcohol, internally, that's the transformation that I've had, then I'm not going to grab for the drink, right? So I really want you to think about this and some of the goals maybe you have for 2025 or things you've been focusing on, all the hows, be thinking about who do I need to become to actually execute on these actions. Research shows that habits rooted in identity are far more likely to stick. Why? Because you're not just doing something, you're becoming someone. I've become a person who is disciplined to exercise. And I say this to my clients all the time when I'm working with them on establishing exercise or more activity. It will not always be this hard because you will become the person who just does it. You will become the person who gets up every day or 3 times a week or whatever the goal is to exercise. In the beginning, it's hard. At the beginning, when I was, trying to become a person who didn't drink alcohol, there was a struggle. The brain was resisting it because that was the comfort. That was what it was used to. So I want you to give yourself grace as you think through this, but this is the bigger picture. It's the who you're becoming in the process. And this is a lot of work that I do with my one-on-one clients when it comes to identity. It's first understanding who you are, what your natural strengths are. But the beautiful thing about once you know that, like in your natural state, like how God designed you, this is who you are. The Pro Scan also shows you how you can make adjustments to become who you need to become to achieve the goal, to achieve the task. And there is so much power in that it's not like this is just who I am and I can never change. And that's kind of a fixed mindset. So the Pro Scan and the Illuminate You coaching method that I walk my clients through, and even the women that have been in the collective group program that I launched the end of last year, are ahead of most because they're walking into the new year fully understanding how to set goals that align with who they are, but also understanding who they might need to become to achieve the goal. So before we dive into 2025, let's take a moment and reflect on last year. And I want you to ask yourself, like, who was I in 2024? What habits, beliefs, or values shaped your decisions? What parts of yourself, what parts of myself am I proud of? And what do I want? Do I want to evolve? So for me, like I want to throw gasoline on how I have learned this year to become a person that takes massive action, that doesn't spin out in over processing, who doesn't try to make it perfect before she moves forward. Again, listen, I know that's one of my things is progress, perfection, but I do catch myself because of my personality trait of high patience. And I want to move a little quicker. And so I'm going to have to make some adjustments in who I am to achieve that. I don't want to get stuck in the how. I want to really focus on, okay, if I am a full, who is that person? How does she show up to every session? How does she show up on social media? How does she show up amongst her peers, amongst her colleagues? So I'm asking myself the question more of who versus how. And it's a really cool process to take your brain there. So I want you to take 5 minutes today to journal your answers to those questions that I just gave you. Growth just isn't just about achieving. It's about recognizing how far you've come.
Hey friend, can I give you permission today? Like for real, your own permission slip. Permission to get clear, to cut out the noise. Mostly the noise that is going on around in your own mind, in your own head. It's just swirling. And you're asking yourself questions like, why am I stuck? Why am I frustrated? Why am I not making progress on my goals? I want to invite you to a free clarity call with me where we're going to dive in and we're going to identify what are the 3 main issues that are keeping you stuck. Number 2, what are the mindsets around those issues that are actually keeping you from solving for those issues? It's not our skill sets, it's our mindsets that keep us stuck and hold us back. And then number 3, identifying what are your next steps. We all have a next step and we have 100% responsibility for those next steps. Your only next step right now is to go to the show notes and book your free clarity call so that we can work through this. I'm believing in you and I cannot wait to see you on our clarity call.
So some guiding questions to define your identity. I thought that might be helpful for you too when you're designing your who for 2025. Here's where the magic happens to set the foundation for 2025. I want you to ask yourself, who do I need to be to achieve my goals? Who do I need to be to achieve my goals? What traits define that person? Is she confident? Is she disciplined? Is she joyful? Is she a leader? Is she a massive action taker? Maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you need to slow down to speed up. What would that version of me, what would that version of you believe, think, and do daily? That's a really powerful question. What would that version, the version of who you need to become, what would she be believing, thinking, and doing today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day? So I want you to close your eyes and picture your December 2025 self. What does she look like? How does she feel about her life? What habits and decisions got her there? Write it down and refer back to it often. It's kind of like reverse engineering. So a practical example could be if your goal is to launch a business this year, your who might be a visionary, a risk taker, and a disciplined leader, right? So then you would ask yourself, like, what does a visionary do every day? What habits align with discipline? This clarity bridges the gap between the identity and the action. You've heard me say this before in the podcast, but I now like discipline is what makes me do a lot of things because I'm a disciplined person now. That's my identity is I'm disciplined, not in everything, not 100% of the time. This is not perfection, but it's not a motivation because motivation is fleeting. It's a discipline now. I've become a disciplined person. I've become someone who manages her mind. That was something I did really well in 2024 amidst all the things that were going on, building a business, becoming fully booked as a coach, going through some personal crisis in the year. Like I've become a person who knows and manages her mind. So I don't ask, how am I going to manage my mind? I am her now, right? And you can be that too. So how about overcoming some self-doubt? Becoming a new version of yourself can feel uncomfortable. I said that a few minutes ago, and your brain might try to resist change, saying things like, well, this isn't me, or I'm not good enough. But here's the truth. You can reprogram your self-talk to align with the identity that you're stepping into. It's not going to happen on accident. It's going to be intentional thought creation. It's going to be intentionally thinking those thoughts to reprogram your self-talk to align with the identity that you are stepping into for 2025. So I thought I would share just some helpful tips for some of those mindset shifts that you might need. The first one is affirmations. I talked about this in a few episodes ago, but start each day with statements like, I am disciplined, or I am a confident leader. For me, I am a action taker. The second one is to catch and replace. You've heard me talk about this quite often here on the podcast, but when negative thoughts creep in, because they're coming. It's not if they come, it's when they come. Replace them with identity-based truths. I am an encourager. That's an identity-based truth that I know about me. I am a disciplined entrepreneur. That's one of the things that I know to be true about me. So when my brain tries to say, you're lazy or you're lacking in some area, I can bring it back to the truth. Even if you haven't received the evidence yet, if you're in the becoming state, you can still speak these affirmations. I am disciplined. I'm a confident leader. I'm an amazing mom. You fill in the blank there. So when those negative thoughts creep in, you can catch it and replace it. And then the third tip for the mindset shift is celebrate wins. Every time you act in alignment with who you are, who you're becoming, acknowledge it. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. But you want to really celebrate every time you notice that your actions are in alignment with who you're trying to become this year. Like, give yourself a pat on the back. Share that with someone. Send me an email. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to be the one that celebrates with you. Well, strategy to think about. Once you're clear on who you want to be, the how becomes simple. I'm going to repeat that. Once you are clear on who you want to become, the how becomes simple. I didn't say easy, but it becomes simple. It's about aligning your actions with your identity. So you can ask yourself daily, what would the best version of me do today? On the day when you're just not feeling like going to the gym, you're not feeling like sacrificing that donut, you're not feeling like you're really feeling like you're wanting to have that glass of wine. I know many of you might be doing dry January. What would the best version of me do today in that moment? What habits and choices reflect that person? Remember, it's the who. Don't get stuck in the how. It's the who. Example, if you want to be a healthy, energetic person, your how might include meal prepping, moving your body for 20 minutes a day, or getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But instead of focusing on the tasks, which most of us do, I want you to focus on embodying the identity, the who, the healthy, energetic person. If you're a healthy, energetic person, you're probably taking care of your sleep, you're taking care of your exercise, and you're fueling your body, right? That's the difference in identity-based goals and action-based goals. So just an encouragement, I want you to remember that transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with one decision, choosing who you want to become. This year, don't just set goals, set a priority to embody the version of yourself that those goals require. Everything else will follow. If you're thinking about the person that you're becoming, the person that you want to become, everything else will follow. So here's your call to action. I'd love to hear your who focus for 2025. I want you to share it with me on social media. You can find me at Martine31Williams, or you can shoot me an email at martine@martinewilliams.com. And let's hold each other accountable to becoming the person we were created to be. Maybe that's part of your one word for the year, is this person that you want to become. Do you want to become an intentional person? Do you want to become a disciplined person? Do you want to become a confident person? Do you want to become a risk taker? Do you want to become an massive action taker this year? Who is the person that you want to become? And once you decide that, come share that with me and watch how your priorities and your goals hit different. They're in alignment. They'll be in alignment. It won't be this over processing of what and how I need to do. It's just who you are. So let that sink in. Give yourself grace in the process because this is your year, friends. Don't focus on the how so much. It's going to be hard, especially if you're like me. It's hard. I want to get into the act. I want to get into it and figure out all the how. But I want you to start with the who. And let's make 2025 your best year yet. And if you want this process, this is what I do. This is do my clients. This is the work that I continue to do on myself. So I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I am not willing. I've done myself. And I also have a coach to hold me accountable as well. So you can go to martinewilliams.com and you can book your free clarity call. That gives you and I an opportunity to do it now, as soon as you get off this episode. Go to martinewilliams.com or you can go to the show notes. We'll have the link in there and book your clarity call. This gives you and I the opportunity while it's fresh in your mind for us to talk through who do you want to become in 2025? Who were you in 2024? Where do you want to go this year? And then how are you going to get there? But first, it's going to start with the who. And that is my jam. That is the work that I do, that I get so pumped up to see women come alive for the very first time or for the first time in years. That's what we need, is for you to come alive in 2025. We don't need a new you. We don't need a new year, new you. We need you that's been buried by motherhood, that's been buried by chasing the success, that's been buried by maybe life circumstances, but she's there. And I would love to help her come alive in 2025 so this can be your best year yet. So I hope this was helpful for you. I cannot wait for 2025. I'm so excited for myself. I'm so excited for my clients, and I'm so excited for all of you that are listening on the podcast. It's going to be an amazing year because you decide that it's going to be an amazing year. You are going to be who you need to become to make it a great year.
Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.